That's right. It's me. It's me. It's podcast number 3.
My name is Dom Douglas, and I am back-to-back XWW Commentator of the Year. With that comes some responsibilities, but also a lot of fun and excitement, and I'm never ashamed to look like a complete fool. Speaking of that, I love playing Magic the Gathering, so much so that I kind of think I play it a little bit too much, and I have some opinions. So now, XtremeTVOnline.com and XWW Wrestling on YouTube presents my podcast where I talk about Magic the Gathering. It's the Goblin Grenade Podcast.
That's right. Episode number 3 of the Goblin Grenade Podcast coming at you. And, through the magic of, this beauty thing of the internet, I'll be in New Jersey visiting friends and family when this goes up. That being said, though, some things have come out recently about a few things. We're going to talk today about Diablo 4 Season 3 and how, it was. We're going to talk about some more murders of Markov Manor, some more cards, also a little bit more issues surrounding some of the bundles and allocations that have happened. And finally, we're going to talk about some Ambassador stuff because that does tie into murders of Karlov Manor as well because they canceled the streamer event, as I alluded to earlier. So that being said, we're going to start with Diablo 4 first. Season 3. The Construct Senestol things. I love Diablo franchise. I'm going to let you in on a little bit of my secrets here. This is my PC copy of Diablo 1. Came with, I think, the bundle for when you got to, like the battle chest for Diablo 2. I still wish I had it in full, but, it was a long time ago. Hey, kids, remember when PC games came on 4 discs? Discs. This is the my fingers covering. This is the cinematics disc. This just has all this the movies. This is the install disc. This is the game that tells it to play the movies. This is the play disc that you need. And then finally, this is the expansion. Don't worry about those right there. They don't work because the CD key I have doesn't work because I had it tied to a Battle.net account that I lost. I had 2-factor authentication, and my dumbass lost the phone that the second dual-factor authentication was, and I've never been able to log back into my account since. Stuff that I have logged into, I'm still logged into, but I really can't change my account or anything like that. So yeah, I had to buy Diablo 1 on Good Old Games to get that working on the modern PCs. Had to rebuy Diablo 2 on the Battle Pass, making a whole new thing. I don't like it. But then there's Diablo 3. This is my day 1 PC copy of Diablo 3. Yes, I bought this day 1, upgraded my computer just to barely be able to play this sumbitch in 2012. This was a radically different game than what it ended up being. I experienced the auction house for gold and for real life money. It was a vastly different game. And funny enough, shades of this game, certain aspects of this game, the 1.0, are in Diablo 4, but it's massively improved. Then, on 360, when it came out on console, I played that. I don't own that disc anymore, but I want to own it again, and I want to get the PS4 edition. I also own Reaper of Souls, the Ultimate Evil Edition, which had the Loot 2.0 system in there. So when it comes to Diablo, I don't f around. Straight up. This is my notes for this podcast. So now that we've gotten, and I literally have just like, the note, all the versions I've played. I even have Diablo. I have the digital version of Diablo 4. I have the resurrected digital version of Diablo 2. So whenever I get an Xbox X, I can just, have access to that and have at it. That being said, Season 3 of Diablo 4, kind of not fun. Season 1 was a train wreck. Season 2 was really good. Season 3 is just blah. And the only thing salvaging it is the improvements that were made in Season 2. Have transferred over to Season 3, obviously. You're basically doing constructs, and, they labeled it as a pet, a robotic pet. The mechanic, though, is traps. Plus, you're going into dungeons, avoiding traps, and if you avoid a certain amount of traps, or traps altogether, and you still have a buff with it that you lose if you get hit by a trap, you get extra treasure. It's not fun. It's not fun at all, and a lot of the movement tech in the game is nullified by the traps. So what happens a lot of times is me and a lot of other people just ignore the bonus chests opportunity and just plow through, because you get through the vault that they call it, and the end room you have to survive like for 30 seconds and then fight like an elite boss. But there's traps all over the floor. But almost every single class has movement tech required to, do the thing that their job does, like whether it be druids, barbarians, necromancers, sorcerers, rogues. They all need to do certain things involving movement tech, and no matter what, you're going to run in a trap at the end of the room because it's littered with them. So, yeah. Here's the problem, though. The storyline's actually really fun. I played through it, and it was really fun. It's different. I'm not going to spoil anything, but it was definitely a unique story that was told, and kind of made me feel sad for the main character that's telling the story. The protagonist of the story trying to beat the demon. I did feel bad for the guy because of things, and I'm not going to go into it because I'll spoil the story and season for you. The end boss, though, is fun. It doesn't move. It's stationary. It has a bunch of traps. It just lays a bunch of traps with different totems that go around it, and you kind of have to figure out or avoid the traps. You can do it one of two ways. You can do it like my dumbass was trying to do, and beat the totems down and then beat the boss. And then after an hour of banging my head against the wall, I just realized I'm just going to keep going after the boss until I win. And that's how I beat it. I know that was like World Tier 2 as well. So I don't think that tactic is going to work on higher world tiers. I didn't try. That's the problem. I really haven't tried that boss fight since I beat it one time. The pets, I'll freely admit, your Sinistrals suck. Just totally suck. They occasionally attack or occasionally give you a buff. But why can't they pick up gold for me? Why Diablo 3, a game that's at this point 12 years old, massively improved, so you can technically consider the current version of Diablo 3 not 10 years old or 12, more closer to like 8 or 7, between 6 and 8 years old. That game is in its current iteration, and their pets pick up pretty much almost everything except for weapons and gear. They'll pick up all the special components that are needed for crafting and stuff like that. They'll pick all that up for the most part. But the main thing is, can they at least pick up the gold for me? That's all. It's a simple ask. It's a simple request. And I know that's not what everybody wants, but just simply let at least pick up the gold. I can understand that we're going to have to click through certain things. Like, it can't pick up the weapons or the gear. Okay, cool. You automatically pick up things like when it comes to like gold and whatnot. But if you're blasting through, you leave a lot of stuff behind, and sometimes the pet is there to pick that stuff up for you. It doesn't even do that. It just occasionally attacks, occasionally gives you a buff, and that's about it. Leveling. And this has to be a caveat. I was writing my notes down for yesterday, for the 28th of January. It's now the 29th when I'm recording this. Day before, and I didn't know it, they did a patch. So getting the ability to level your pet up with the glyphs and whatnot has gotten easier. It drops a little bit more. Everything drops a little bit more. They dropped a patch, an emergency patch, I might add, on the 27th, apparently, that I wasn't aware of. I haven't touched the game. I was doing things and getting ready for this Jersey trip, I might add. And it was definitely increasing the amount of loot dropped for certain things to level your Sinistrals up, the pet. I'll keep calling it a pet from now on. And that's about it. And some people like it, but I'm also like, you didn't fix any of the core issues at hand with your seasonal mechanic. And I know it's early in the season and they still have a lot of time to work on it, but every other season is a gigantic shit show. Yeah, it's after 10 minutes, I can curse. And right now it's a pattern is forming. And the problem is the season 3 dev team was the season 1 dev team. And if you know Diablo 4 and if you've listened to it, you know how bad season 1 started. It got a bit better, but it was really bad. Really bad. Like, leveling sucked. It was a grind, not in a good way. And unless you did what they call the dopamine tunnels, which is one dungeon in the entire map of the whole game that just you can run through in about 5 minutes without completing any of the tasks of the dungeon, exit out, restart the dungeon ad nauseum. That was the only legitimate way to level up with any decency. You can grind, and I grind in season 1. Season 1 perspective. I played a lot, and I got my barbarian. I play Whirlwind Barbarians. Don't at me. I have since Diablo 3, and I got it to 66, level 66. In season 2, when they did the improvements and whatnot, I got two classes to level 100, and I got a hardcore character to 50. So that should tell you right there that the leveling has been improved. 1 to 50 wasn't bad. I will say that. Even in the base game, level 1 to 50 wasn't bad. 50 to 100, terrible. Not now, but in season 1, it was terrible. The vaults themselves as well, the map layout, are just recycled from the campaign storyline that you do in this season. So that was a little upsetting. There's no real difference involved in the vaults that you get at the end game. It's just the same dungeon that we played in the campaign over and over again. Sidebar notes, the patch notes, world bosses being back to normal. That was my thing. The only drawback to season 2 was world bosses were annihilated in like 10 seconds. And I was responsible for a lot of those because a lot of us played Sorcerer. And to Blizzard's credit, Sorcerer, the static orb, lightning wizard Sorcerer was broken. And it was really quickly discovered within like the first week of season 2. And everyone was having fun with it. And, Blizzard took it on the chin. The Diablo 4 dev team took it on the chin and said, hey, have fun with it. We're not going to fix it. It's not working as intended. We will let you know that right now. So when the season's over, your crazy ball lightning, infinite damage, turn 1 kill world boss that takes like at least 5 to 8 characters to beat, players on the field to beat, it's not going to happen after the season. And it's not it's still a good build, but it's definitely nowhere near the god tier levels that it was. That's funny enough. I literally, my nose is like, quit complaining about the debuff, the ball lightning. They told us this in season 2, that after this season, ball lightning was going to be fixed. It's currently not working as intended. It's an error in the mathematicals of the game. It's certain percentages are stacking not in the way they're supposed to be stacking. So we're doing ball lightning sorcerers. We're doing wicked amounts of damage that they were never intended to. XP grind and glyph grind is drastically improved. Stuff I already... Whirlwind Barb is still my jam. I mean, I already touched all my notes and I didn't even have to look at them. That's why I wrote them. Here's the thing. The buff of Zoltan requires cores to activate. Did require cores to activate. I think it still does. I don't know. I didn't even look at the patch notes because I'll be honest with you. I'm not playing this game for the next couple of weeks. And I've put in a lot of time in this game. A gratuitous amount of time. But every time you, like in my notes, and it could be wrong, every time you spent a core, you got 3 buffs. Every time you got hit by a trap in the vault, you lost a buff. So at the end of the map, when you're done beating the elite in the room filled with traps, you can either open the regular chest, you can open, or if you have at least one core, open a special chest, or from what I encountered, if you had 4 or more cores, you got to open a third chest. I almost barely opened the 1 core chest. So, yeah. I mean, I said before, I'm not playing it, but I'll hit my level 100 with my barbarian, get my seasonal rewards and all that. I will still pay the $5 that it takes me because I have it set up that way, to get the season pass for this and get all those cosmetics. Because the season pass, the first season gave us like 666 cute platinum tokens. The last season gave us 800. Cost 1,000 platinum to unlock that. I have like 800 something platinum, and then when I buy the $5 worth of platinum to unlock the next season, I should have enough to actually get season 3 and 4. So yeah, and that's a problem with the game. It's amazing. The Diablo gameplay is so good in 4. It didn't start that way at first, but now it is just it is chef's kiss great. But season 3, Diablo 4, hasn't had the best start. Hasn't had a good start at all. So now that we're done nerding out on Diablos, I'm going to talk a very little bit about Murders at Markov Manor. Because there's a couple cards I want to highlight. I gotta find the gold cards. Where is it? All right. This card, Leyline of the Guild Pack. I already know it's going to be a problem. Leyline of the Guild Pack has 4 different of the hybrid manas: Selesnya mana, Simic mana, Golgari, or Gruul. Basically, it's a 5-color guild pack. If it's in your opening hand, you begin the game with it on the battlefield. Okay, each non-land permanent you control is all colors. Lands you control are every basic land type in addition to their other types. The reason why this card is kind of BS, this is one of those cards that was designed with not the 3-year rotation in mind. It was created before that. It's living a dream, but it's going to happen a lot in Arena. 1-turn kill. Cacophony, Spark, or whatever, that 1/1 that comes into the field with oil counters on it, and when it deals combat damage to a player, you can sacrifice it and when it dies, it deals damage. That's a 1/1, and there's Gaia's Might. For 1 green, and target creature gets +1/+1 for each basic land type you control. Leyline of the Guild Pack makes your first line that you have all five basics. So you have 2 of those in the hand, and by turn 2, you just plop them down, deal 11 damage to your opponent, because it gets +5/+5 for each Gaia's Might that you put on there. And then, sacrifice it after it's done dealing combat damage, so you do 22 points of damage to your opponent. It's magical Christmas land. Don't get me wrong, but it's going to happen. So that's just one of the cards that I wanted to highlight for the Murders in Markov. What else? Let's see. There's a couple other ones that I wanted to at least touch upon. And I'm going to do this rapid style, because there's 2 other topics I want to talk about, and I was going to save this for the third. I'll do a little bit more in-depth on the third one with these, because that's when Murders in Markov Manor will release. But I do like War Leader's Call. Creatures you control get +1/+1. Whenever a creature enters a battlefield under your control, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. I kind of like this card. It's good. I can tell. And then, instant slot into my Vampire Edgar Markov deck. Sanguine Savior. For a 2/1 flying lifelink with Disguise, you may cast this card face down for 3 as a 2/2 creature with Ward 2. Turn it face up anytime for its Disguise cost. When it's turn faced up, another target creature you control gains lifelink until end of turn. I don't know. I think it's going to be fun in my vampire decks. And then Urgent Necropsy. I'm saying it wrong. I don't care. For an instant, as an additional cost to cast a spell, collect Evidence X, where X is the total mana value of the permanents that this spell targets. So to collect evidence, you have to discard. You have to exile cards from your graveyard equal to X. So if you want to target 5 cards that equal 15 mana, you have to get rid of 15 mana's worth of cards in your graveyard. Destroy up to 1 target artifact, creature, enchantment, and 1 target planeswalker. I run a card, and I will run this in a couple Golgari decks that I run in Commander, mainly Lathwell and Old Retstein. Good cards are good. That being said, that's going to be next episode where I'm going to break down a little bit more of the cards that I have. But the bundle delays. That's right. The Murders at Karlov Manor bundles, which come with 9 play boosters and an assortment of lands and a promo card and a dice and a box. They're delayed. There will be limited product for pre-release and in the beginning. But they're blaming the pandemic and the supply chain as usual. To me, Wizards blaming that is getting old because they're releasing so much product. Delays are inevitable, especially when they're cranking out like physical media after physical media after physical media. There's 4 Commander decks that are shipping with this set. There's the play boosters, the collector's boosters, the pre-release kits. And next month we're getting the same thing again with more physical releases. With the Fallout precons and the collector boosters. So the other thing is, remember, they just laid off like 1,100 people in December, week before Christmas. Record profits and still can't drive the ship straight, Wizards. You really can't. Between the numerous problems with your actual product shipping correctly, or shipping at all, when it ships, a lot of the times, like the foils are still curled, cards are still damaged before you even open them in the pack. And the funny thing is, this set looks great. I'm very excited about this set. And I don't know if you know of a channel, Loading Ready to Run. They are amazing. I've loved and adored their content for years. This was they do a thing called pre-release, where a week before pre-release, they get access to the set and the pre-release kits, and they kind of have fun and invite guests over to their studios and, fly them in and all that other stuff. This is the first time in the 10 years that they've been doing it that it wasn't sponsored by Wizards. They still got the product, but they did not get the contract to make it a licensed to make it a licensed show. And that means it was just basically the crew, them, doing it. And it was super fun, and they threw back to the old times when it used to be an actual tournament, and, the winner got bragging rights and whatever. It was fun to watch, but it was definitely weird because it was not sponsored by Wizards. There was no contract because those people probably don't work at the company anymore. No, what they said was, the people who sent the contracts, the people who send the product and write up the contracts to do that are 2 different parts of the company, and they were given the product, so those people still have their jobs, but the people who wrote the contracts probably don't have the jobs. They're the ones that got laid off. My only complaint about this set, and it's going to be the hottest of hot takes, and, that's what we're here for. Power Word Creep is absolutely wrecking this game at the moment. I am serious. The new player experience is terrible. MTG Arena is still the best tutorial made, but the word diarrhea is a problem. And when they released, and this didn't really exemplify in my brain until Arena had the Khans of Tarkir set come out of the random. And now it makes sense because Disguise is a mechanic, and that's very much Morph Plus. And it's just to remind the MTG players or get used to the people that have only played MTG Arena what Morph is and what face down cards do. I miss the days that a 2-mana 3/1 creature was just that. A 2-mana 3/1 creature. I miss the days where a 7-drop creature was a 5/6 flying with vigilance. And nothing else. Now, this is a common, by the way. Okay, I'm about to show you. A common. Fairy Snoop for 1 blue and a black for a 1/4 fairy detective creature. Has flying. Disguise. For 1 and 2 Dimir colors, blue and black, you may cast this card face down for 3 of any color. As a 2/2 creature with Horde 2. Turn it face up anytime for its disguise cost. When Fairy Snoop is turned face up, look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one in your hand and the other into your graveyard. Some people may say, well, that's not that potent of a card. It's not. It's a decent card. And I'll definitely be experimenting it with the fairy decks that I run. The budget ones. But the novel of abilities that this thing has. First off, it's got Disguise. So it's not only Disguise, but it's got Ward 2 while it's disguised. And then when it turns face up, it's got Flying, and it does that ability. Thank you, phone. I got an email. The new player experience is what I'm trying to get is really bad. You can't bring anybody in because they got rid of core sets a long time ago. And core sets were the basic walking blocks that, hey, this was their new player experience. And now they've just kind of relegated that to Arena, and basically it's just kind of every single card in Magic the Gathering right now that's released new has too many abilities, too many words. So that means when you get to the rares and the mythics that are the bombs, so to speak, your most powerful cards, sometimes they've had to make dual-faced cards to get all the words that they've wanted to get because they have to make these things super powerful. That's why I'm saying word creep, word diarrhea, power creep is wrecking this game at the moment. When it comes to supply chain issues, now the other thing is the secret lairs are printed not to demand anymore. They are printed, say they make 5,000 of a secret lair, and that's all they're ever going to make. And they just recently released the last Commander secret lair they released a while ago. Sold out so fast that one of the artists or employees at Wizards of the Coast wasn't able to pre-order it, and his own dog is on one of the cards. His actual pet dog is on one of the cards. And he wasn't able to get it. They weren't able to get it. $1 billion company still can't steer the ship right. Speaking of not steering the ship right, we're going to talk about the Ambassador program real quick. If you do not know what the MTG Ambassador program is, basically the short story, Wizards will give you a bunch of free product. They'll give you product every release. They demand that within that reason of them hooking you up with product that you speak occasionally nice about them. All right. A lot of the time you really can't say anything negative-ish. And you put X amount of content out in a certain amount of time. And you can be an ambassador. And one of the things, is that one of the rewards that you get for being an ambassador, one of the hookups you get is the early access streamer event that got canceled for murders at Karlov Manor due to unforeseen circumstances like, I don't know, all the layoffs that they just recently did. Could that be it? It's had nothing to do with the layoffs and Cox's massive bulging bonus he received. Not at all. Can't even demonetize me for that particular statement because that's the guy's name, and he did get a massive bonus after laying off 1,100 people. So it was designed also to help content creators so they can get early access to the sets, info, all this other stuff, so they can release content a little bit easier and quicker. You get physical cards along with swag bags, Magic Con passes to go to the Magic conventions, products for each set, as I said before, arena early access, invite. Now here's the thing. It's invite only. So they invite you. Hey, you want to be part of the ambassador program? Here's the thing. You can either say yes or no. Some people that I follow on YouTube said no for certain reasons. Dev SBMTG, look him up. He's strictly better. Magic the Gathering is probably one of the best channels next to Tolarian Community College, who is the best. Tolarian Community College is the pinnacle that we all stand for. Pretty much. We're all standing on that man's shoulders in the path that he created 10 years ago when it comes to Magic the Gathering content on Arena. Real respects real, and Professor is the one who got me back in to Magic the Gathering. That being said, SBMTG declined. Mainly, I think his reason was because he would have to watch what he said occasionally, but also you have to release a lot of certain amount of social media product, if you will, like say this podcast video on YouTube. And they did a diverse range of not just people, but also channel numbers. They didn't just say, let's look at the top 100 most subscribed channels on YouTube and Twitch and all this other stuff. They hit a broad range of people, and I have to give them credit for that. They did hook smaller channels up. If I was presented before this podcast was created with that opportunity, I would have taken it. I can't now because of reasons, but I would have taken it. You're telling me you're going to give me all this product for free and I just have to do this, that, and that? Sign me up. Can't do that anymore, though. And this is why. I don't put nearly enough content out like I used to. I mean, this podcast is going on the Xtreme TV YouTube channel. It's not even debuting on my channel yet. I've had my channel for a long ass time. The last upload was April of 2023. I would also have to be careful with the topics and the words that I use. Like me saying Chris Cox's massive bulging bonus that he got last year. I'm not allowed to mention that in that way. Or the layoffs. Or the Pinkertons. Or the delays of Karlov Manor. Yeah, so as you can see, like I kind of like, not so much the freedom of speech, but I just kind of like being able to say what I say. Look, freedom of speech, yes, but I still have to deal with those consequences, and sometimes those consequences is me never getting an ambassador program, and I'm okay with it. And I have been for a while, upon other reasons that I'm not going to get into. If you see me in person, I will, because they're not crazy stupid or anything like that. It's just, there are certain things I'm not allowed to do anymore because of being disabled. And I'll leave it at that. Now, if you've never had to do this before, if you're a small channel and you've never had to put out all this content that's required of you, it could be a problem. And they don't give you any assistance on that front. They just say, hey, here's the stuff. Have fun. Figure it out. We need 5 videos by next week. And editing a 10-minute deck tech video, which I was doing, sucks. It does. I love doing it. I enjoy editing. It's one of my passions. It's how theoretically I kind of got into the wrestling industry. But imagine having to do that plus stream X amount of hours a day during the early access event, even, on top of the early access. And then along with, posts on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and then you having a regular ass job. You have your 9 to 5, wherever job you're going to, you have to do that on top of whatever Wizards of the Coast wants from them. It's hard. And people have had a bit of a hard time keeping up. And side notes on that, and I actually write them down as side notes. When you do the streamer event, you're not allowed to concede on Arena. Wizards of the Coast specifically states that they want you to play the game out like you would. They want to see if things are working correctly. And if your opponent is about to blast you in the face with like the kill spell of all kill spells, and before you can do it, you concede. You're not supposed to be doing that. You're also a tester as well. They're not saying you are, but you are, because they're also trying to make sure bugs don't happen. We'll just make you the beta tester, the private realm tester before the actual patch goes out, which is their just way of saying we don't test this much. And if we get a bunch of people to test it for us under the guise of streamer early access event, there we go. Also bad VMing, bad manners, emoting. Yeah, you're not supposed to do that either. You can get kicked out of the program for doing that. And if you don't think Wizards looks at YouTube channels and Twitch streams of the pros and they encounter people like this, if you don't think they mark that name down because every single name is your channel name saying VIP at the end of it, do better. And then, let's be honest here. Like, Wizards isn't the best either at starting programs up and keeping them up. The list I have here is the Pro Tour coverage that they used to do for a bit. The original version of the Ambassador program called the Creator program that they ditched after less than a year. The Judge Academy. Magic Duels Origins, which is an Xbox One game that I have to re-download because I think y'all need to see if you've never experienced this game before. Okay? It's a good game. It's a good Magic the Gathering game. But if you squint really hard, you'll be like, did they release a alpha of Arena already? They kind of did. That was Magic Duels Origins. The standard format. Because they ditched that a while ago. Core sets, as I said earlier, the original beginner sets that were really fun to play, and they just got rid of those. The old standard rotation. Now, fun fact, standard rotation. They changed standard rotation in 2015, and it was between 5 and 6 sets. That was it. They shortened standard. People were mad. People were very angry. And a year and a half later, they went back to the 5 to 8 set rotation every 2 years. Every year rotation for the last 5 to 8 sets. Yeah, this isn't the first time. When it comes to standard rotation, this isn't the first time in the last 10 years that they've tried to mess with it, and it failed utterly. Woo! That being said, I think I'm done talking here for now. Once again, when you see this, I'll be in New Jersey. Hopefully, I'm hoping for some snow. I want some weather. I haven't seen snow in a couple of years, and I love snow. I'm a winter guy, as if the complexion and the pastiness of my skin wasn't an indication of how much I don't go out in the sun. And then when you see me tan in the middle of the summer because promotions do outdoor shows, it hurts. It hurts us. It hurts us as much. So that being said, my name's been Dom Douglas. Thank you for watching on YouTube for this podcast, A Goblin Grenade, Episode 3. XtremeTVOnline.com, $4.99 a month. The first 5 days are free. You can check out all the amazing content that we have on the network and will have on the network. My name's Dom Douglas, the back-to-back commentator of the year for XWW, and may your top deck always be mythic. Ambassador program. I wonder if I could actually get into that.